Good morning. Watching some YouTube videos, like I do. Um, this one I'm not very fond, or I don't want to do. I was watching the Young Turks, and the story was they broke in, he was waiting, and the details are beyond disturbing. Um, and the story is that a guy waited in his basement with a 22 and hid his car so that nobody thought he was home. And then when they broke in, the male kid, teenager, came down the stairs. He shot him and killed him, drug him off to the side, put him on a tarp, and then waited for the second person to come down because I guess he had surveillance set up, so he knew there was two. And the other teenage girl, they love saying they're teenagers, they're kids. Yeah, yes, they're kids. I understand, they're kids. So when she came downstairs, he shot her, and all this was recorded, so you can hear the audio. I guess you can't see the video. And then I guess she was still alive, and he said, "You're dying, bitch," and then shot her again. Did the double tap, or the finishing blow. And right off the top, yes, he is dangerous. That is going above and beyond what that's action movie, horror movie, suspense type movie stuff. My issue here is actually with the Young Turks and with the gun nuts in general. I do meet in between. I also do my best to try and sit in other people's shoes before condemning them. Doesn't stop me from condemning them, but I try and at least understand where they're coming from and how they must have felt. Cenk and all the Young Turks on this particular panel were condemning him as a crazy nut job that needs to go to prison for the rest of his life because he's obviously deranged and a murderer and premeditated. They keep going as premeditated. So he's a murderer. Yes, it was an obvious sting setup. But some of the details as they were talking about it, I really don't like this story, and I don't know if I want to even post this, was that the guy, the kid, the male teen, had broken in several times. And the Young Turks kept going on about how they didn't involve this guy didn't involve the police or get police help. One of the things I'd like to point out on that particular point is the Young Turks, you guys, Cenk, routinely see and report on stories where the police come in to help someone and they murder the person they came in to help. They came in and went, "Who are you? You're the owner?" Bang! And killed the person that called them. So just saying, oh, they didn't go to the police, they didn't ask for help, they didn't cry, "Mommy," for help, and they took the law into their own hands. You have to see the hypocrisy or the conflict there where a law-abiding citizen calls the police murder the law-abiding citizen because the police are the bigger jackbooted thugs in this story. Not this particular story, but in the world. The police are the worst part. So harping over and over about not involving the authorities, I think is, I don't want to say disingenuous. I don't know if that's the right term, but it's not the sure thing that you're proposing that it is. Oh, if they'd only involved the authorities, everything would have worked out fine. When in your own story, you're reporting that he was involved with the authorities several times on several other break-ins of the same house. So the authorities clearly didn't do anything. It's not clear in the story whether he knew that the individuals were armed or not. If you have had someone breaking into your house regularly, you've had your trust violated. Your security has been violated. You imagine it wasn't a man with a gun. Imagine it was a 24-year-old woman that was a nurse that worked long hours, came home, and had several times had her house broken into, ransacked, and then called the police, and all this same stuff happened where the police did nothing. Nothing had stopped, and you knew, or she knew, that they were going to come back. And she didn't know if they were going to come back when she was there, or if they were violent, or there's a lot of unknowns when somebody is already invading your home. I hate the gun nuts. I think they're just as bad as a lot of the police stuff. I think the police brutality and the gun nuts are the same people. So I'm not for everybody shooting everybody. But in a situation where you know somebody's going to break into your house, the police have done nothing, what are you supposed to do? If you don't know that they're violent, you don't know that they're not armed, if you don't know that they're just in there to have fun, I don't know if my problem with the Young Turks' presentation of this story is they don't put themselves in his shoes. Or they don't put themselves in the shoes of someone, the young girl, for instance, as an example, the straw man. They don't put themselves in the shoes of someone that is the law-abiding victim, and their house is repeatedly assaulted. Their security, their sense of safety has been shot. They're scrambled, and the police are doing nothing. So I think they fail to see the issue with the fear. Now, with him saying you're going to die, bitch, and shooting them, that's obviously wrong. But I can also sympathize, because you also hear in stories, which the Young Turks, I'm quite sure, have reported on, where the criminal came in, was armed, was going to threaten their lives and steal their stuff and do terrible things. The person shot them, the criminal did not die, and then sued them and won. So there's a precedent for killing, finishing off the person that broke into your house or that's threatening your safety. There's a precedent there. Not defending it, but I can understand how this person got to the place he was. Saying he's crazy and damaged and a murderer doesn't help anyone. He's not the one that broke in several times to somebody's house and stole things. He didn't start off the criminal. He got there. No argument, no, that he got there. But he didn't. You can clearly see how a good person, a law-abiding person, can be frightened and frustrated and be driven to this kind of action. So I'm also, this is one of those stories I'm torn on because I am a progressive socialist. I would rather nobody had guns, but that's not the world we live in. Teenagers breaking into somebody's house, you don't know who they are. Times are hard. Things are changing. The police are bigger criminals than the criminals breaking into your house. So all I see is rocks and hard places and not much leeway in between. I don't like this story, but I really wish the Young Turks, Cenk, you had not come at it so hardlined. What a morning to start. What a way to start my morning. Peace, I hope.